Hello, back again to do another unboxing and review. Today I'll be looking at these brand new pens that just came out, and although these particular pens are not considered a tech gadget, which is of course what I normally cover on this channel, a pen is still an important tool for pretty much anybody. Alright, so when almost anybody hears the word Sharpie, more likely than not, this is what's going to pop up in their mind. These permanent markers that we've all been using for so long and are so handy have essentially become synonymous with the name Sharpie. However, Sharpie does make now at least pens, not just permanent markers. Now, these particular ones, as we're going to see, are metal barrel, so the body of the pen is made out of metal. And in case you might have seen, Sharpie did release a full metal pen like this. However, this one was still a permanent marker. So these, at least from what I know, are the first time Sharpie's made of metal barrel pen, an actual ballpoint pen. Okay. Alright, so let's take a quick look around the box here. So you can tell this is meant to be displayed by hanging it, and the retail hanger would go where my finger is. Right up the very top we have that they're new, and they have a metal barrel. Alright, coming down here, Sharpie pen. We have the package displaying the item through one of these windows. Always a good sign, shows that the company or manufacturer is confident in their item. So much so, they're just going to show it to you. No need for pictures. Alright, and then here we have S-Gel. I believe that's their new ink tech. And hopefully they're going to tell us about it. And it looks like they are. No smear, no bleed technology. It's black ink, and it ends with the medium 0.7 millimeter. Alright. Now, okay, again, it's telling us we get two metal pens. Again, driving home they're made of metal, and that you're going to get two of them. So, yeah, value, right? Okay. Going to the side here, Sharpie S-Gel. And then on this side here, Sharpie S-Gel. Okay, those sides are the same. Now to the back. Let me. Alright, so now at the back of the box here, looks like we have an actual size photo of the item. That's always nice. However, not as necessary in this case because you can see the actual items from the front. However, this does have the added benefit if a customer does turn this around and leaves it with this side facing out, the next potential customer can still see what this item is without having to actually come and turn it around themselves. Okay, so then we have here Sharpie S-Gel. I liking this here, the power of Sharpie now in a gel pen. That's great. It at the same time it drives home brand recognition, and it also lets the customer know what's new this time around. Alright, talking about the metal barrel, the metal clip. Yep, really drive home that fact it's metal, comfort on the grip there, no smear, no bleed, and always vivid writing. Alright, good. Some good info on there and there. Alright. Alright, overall impressions of the packaging, I like it, and I can tell you from personal experience, it's very effective. The only reason I even have these right now is because they caught my eye from a distance, so much so that I decided to walk over and investigate, and then thereafter decided to buy them. Alright, so first we have the color, red and yellow, hot, very attention-catching colors, but probably even more so than that is the fact that since you can see the metal items through the packaging, and you're seeing this in effect right now, is the light reflects off the metal portions of the pen. And from a distance, especially when you have them on an end cap, where you have literally hundreds of these pens hanging on display, it kind of has this whole shimmering twinkle twinkle effect, and that caught my eye. Yeah, I think they're doing pretty much everything on this package correctly, and then there's quite a bit of details on the back. Alright, so let's get to the unboxing. This was in fact sealed. You can see there's the little circle sticker on the bottom, and there was one on top, which I've already peeled back. Now to open it. Okay, so alright, so it seems that part of the top hanger extends into the box, and I guess further holds down the pens. So you fold it out like so, and now we'll slide them out. Alright, so they come out on a nice tray there. And oh, look at that. There's even a plastic cover on top of them. So we'll slide that off. And there they are. Ooh, feel good. Alright, so up close here with the pen, we'll go down the length of it so you can see it all up close. There you go. Okay, so let's start here with the plunger. Of course, the thing that extends and retracts the tip of the pen. Pushing that in. Oh yeah. Alright, so when you push this in, there's a very noticeable positive feedback that it's locked into place. And it also seems to be a real secure lock. So I'm going to tap the back of here, the plunger, with my fingernail, with a decent amount of force. Most likely about as hard as you would actually accidentally tap this if you were not meaning to disengage it, but maybe tapped it on a table or whatever. And you can see here, even with all these taps, it has stayed extended out, which is good. So if you want to retract it, it seems you actually have to make an intentional push to disengage it. That's good. Alright, coming over here to the barrel, we know it's metal. My guess is it's some kind of aluminum, because here I have a magnet, and if I put it here on the barrel, it does not stick, but this is definitely metal, so okay, I'm going with aluminum for that. However, the clip here, you can see the magnet sticks. So we have two different types of metal. Going down further to the cushion. Okay, so on some pens you may know this, sometimes they have like a gel or something down here, a silicone or whatever, and it allows you to not only get grip on the pen, but it also allows you to sink your fingers in, and it kind of can be like almost like a little mini stress reliever, kind of like a stress ball. This one, on the other hand, not so much. It does not deform in hardly at all, if any. So this seems to be solely here for grip, which it does a pretty good job. You can see all those grooves in there. So, and yeah, I can get a pretty good strong grip on this. So grip, yeah, squishy, comfort, not so much. But anyway, alright, moving down. Here's, okay, the tip. So we'll go ahead and push this so you can see. It does come with a little wax bead at the end. Of course, you'll take this off before you use it for the first time. Alright, so from what I can tell, everything from here forward is just plastic. It seems the metal stops after you leave the main barrel here. Alright, but I'm going to go on and open it so we can see what's inside. Alright, there we go. Put this portion down. The plunger remains captive within the top portion, which is good. Alright, this our ink cartridge. The ink cartridge is actually notably thicker than a standard pen. Okay, and then here we have our spring, which you can see it seems to have different coil rates. This rate of spring is different than there in the middle, obviously, which is different than there, and then it looks like it's tightly at the end. So I'm not sure if those different spring rates in different sections are some kind of, or if it's just to get this spring within this amount of space. But anyway, but one thing I can tell you is that the spring is captive to the ink cartridge. A lot of these cheaper pens, if you do this, the spring will just fall off onto the ground and you may lose it, but not so here. It stays connected. So, simple little thing, but can be very helpful. Okay, so that's the ink cartridge. Now going up to here, again, this, I've actually taken this little collar off, this little silver part, and I pulled back this pad ever so bit slight to look down what's underneath it, and it seems to be the same color as this, which I'm touching here, so I'm assuming this, again, is all plastic. And you may be curious, but that does not attach, so okay, so plastic. Okay, let's go ahead and put it back together. Alright, so first impressions, feels pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and use it. Write some stuff. Also, I have a couple tests I'm gonna show you in a bit. But at least from right out the box, it feels decent. Oh wait, I went ahead and weighed this. As you know, brand new, never used, full cartridge of ink in there, and it comes up to be 17 grams. Okay, so I'm gonna go test it out. All right, so starting off the tests, the first one will be the writing pressure test. And the three pens I will be testing out are your standard crystal clear, whatever, stick Bic pen. Then here we have, this is a Papermate Ink Joy. Okay, and then of course the one that this review is on, the Sharpie S-Gel metal pen. Alright, so how I did this is I cut some paper coupons, I put them on a scale, zeroed out this scale. Then I took each pen before I started writing with it. I blew it off, the tip off with the air duster. And then I went ahead and while the paper was on the scale, I drew a line. I did that same process for all 3 pens, and I have the coupons here to show you. Alright, so here's the first one. The number under each one of those lines is the amount of pressure in grams that was applied to make that line. So you can see the Bic there on the left with the highest pressure to get the line. You see the InkJoy is in the middle, and then the Sharpie with the least amount of pressure needed and yet the darkest line. Let me put up the second card here. This is the second sample. Okay. And there we have it. So again, 117, the Bic takes the most pressure to draw the line, but then the InkJoy in the middle, and then with the least amount of pressure, you have the darkest line, once again with the Sharpie. Alright, so now to the next test. I'm going to call this test the mist test. And to do it, I got yet another piece of regular printer paper here. And I'm going to test 3 pens, of course, the same as that we did in the other test. So right now I have the Paper Mate. So what I'm going to do for each one of the pens is I'm going to make an asterisk or a little star. And to do that, I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? And then this one I will label ink for InkJoy. Alright? And then I'm going to do one over here for the Bic pen and then one over here for the Sharpie. At which point, I'm going to then go ahead, get this spray bottle here, the little mister, and hold this about, I would say about 2 inches, maybe 3, I would say 2 to 3 inches away from the asterisk and give it 1 pump spray. Just like that. Okay. Alright, so I ran the test 3 times. I have 3 pieces of paper here. And just one thing to the little test procedure I want to mention is that I drew all the asterisks first, and then I went and sprayed the Bic asterisk first, then the Paper Mate, and then the Sharpie. Alright, so here's the first sheet I did. So if we look here, both the Bic pen and then the InkJoy from Paper Mate look to be basically completely not affected by the spray of the water. The Sharpie, if you look close enough, you can see some minor smudging or bleeding, but again, you really would have to look at this, and from a distance you wouldn't even notice it. But let's look at the other 2 runs. Here's the second test, or second run of the test. That was actually quite good. And then the third run. So on all 3 of these, the only one I'm seeing any real running or bleeding is on the Sharpie, but keep in mind it has the least time to dry before it gets sprayed, and also it is the darkest of the pens. So if you think about it, this amount of running is not bad at all, considering how dark the ink is compared to some of these others. Now, it may look like I'm making these asterisks about as dark as the Sharpie, but considering I'm also having to put down more pressure to make these asterisks than I am the Sharpie one. So I'm trying to even it out, but even so, I'd say the Sharpie's still doing very well, all things considered. Alright, so I was ready to move on, but I thought in the sense of being fair, I should really compare this pen against other gel rollers that are all 0.7 millimeter. So here are 2 new competitors to pit the Sharpie against. So up on the bottom here we have the Pilot G2, and again 0.7 millimeter. And then this is the one from Bic. They call this one the Gelocity. And okay, and yes, they're both these clicky type pens. So here's the writing pressure test, same as before, but you can see they're a lot closer together now as far as pressure. However, the Sharpie still does lay down the darker, and I would say probably wider line, even though they're all 0.7 millimeter. Okay. Now for the mist test, here's the Pilot G2, the Gelocity from Bic, and then the Sharpie. Okay, and then I did one more run. G2 again, Velocity, and Sharpie. So if we look at these, I'll kind of put them side by side here. Sharpie did have some running, not too bad. Velocity, to be frank, seems to be the best or the least affected, and I would say the G2 is the most infected by the mist test. Alright, so one last demonstration here. I'm just going to go ahead and show you the pen in action. So I'll just go ahead and scribble something. So as you can see, continuous line, no breaks, and smooth writing. Alright, so impressions after use. I like it. It writes nice and smooth, it feels good to hold, and it lays down nice dark lines, so you don't have to worry about going over a letter once or twice to make sure it's dark enough. Nope, first pass will do. So now, as far as comparing it to other pens, from this point on I'm just going to be comparing it to the Bic Velocity. I think this is a close enough competitor. And between these two, I've noticed with this, you can get ever so finer lines if you're real light when you drag this across the paper. This one here, the Sharpie, seems to lay down the same width line all the time. So, and this one, the ink, the Velocity, it dries a little quicker. But otherwise, I'd say these could be somewhat interchangeable. Now, however, as far as style, again, this is subjective, but I would always go with this one. And just to kind of give you an idea why, I'll show you two pictures of my portfolio I carry, and with this on there and with this on there, and you can tell me what you think. So in conclusion, would I recommend this pen? Yes, I would. Now, I won't lie, I was disappointed that the entire pen is not metal. They already have this and this being metal, why not just finish the job, right? And with an entirely metal pen, we could just go ahead and take it apart, like this one already does come apart, and then put in a new ink cartridge when we run dry in ink, as opposed to having to buy the pen all over again. I would be willing to pay more for that setup. However, then I got to thinking perhaps they were after a particular price per pen mark. So I should tell you how much this thing costs, right? Alright, so at the time of making this video, they come in a double pack, as you saw. Therefore, each one of these pens is above $2.50, but below $3. So let's just say sub $3 pen. So for that price, you're getting a pen that looks good, writes well, feels good in the hand, and should you lose it, it really isn't the end of the world. So at that point, why don't I just start carrying these as opposed to all those other disposable cheap pens? Maybe that's what they were after.